Greetings to all. In this unit, we are going to learn about the main characteristics of modern drama. The drama, which had experienced a lofty decay means destroy, during the Victorian age, was resuscitated with extraordinary power toward the start of 20th 100 years and a course of 60 years, has seen many patterns and flaws in the 20th century show. The show of the modernist movement in England was considerably less imaginative in strategy than it was in verse and novel. Modernist drama as can be classified into three. The first and the earliest period of innovation in English drama is set apart by the plays of G.B. Shaw and John Galsworthy, which compromise the classification of social show displayed on the plays of Ibsen. The second and the central period of modernist English show include the plays of Irish development contributed by certain elites like Yeats. In this stage, the show contained the soul of patriotism. The second and the central period of modernist English show include the plays of Irish development contributed by certain elites like Yeats. The third and the last period of the modernist English drama contains T.S. Eliot and Christopher Fry. The three classification mirror the three distinct stages as well as the three unique features of modern English drama. Modern English drama characteristics can be classified into many. In that first element is realism. Realism is the most used and remarkable nature of modern English drama. The writer of the prior long period of the 20th century were keen on naturalism, and it was their undertaking to manage genuine issues of life in the practical procedure to their place. Present day drama is basically a show of thoughts instead of activity. The stage is utilized by screenwriter to give articulation to specific thought which they need to spread in the public eye. Current drama managing the issues of life has become undeniably more acute than any other time. It was throughout the entire existence of show before the current age. Sentimentalism is also one of the elements used in the modern drama. Sentimentalism, which had been extremely dear to Elizabethan dramatists, found its direction in modern drama. It was mostly because of Sir James Barrie's endeavors that the new influx of romanticism cleared over modern drama for certain long periods of the 20th hundred years. T.S. Eliot was the principal screenwriter who gave significance to idyllic play and was practical composition show of the cutting edge dramatization. Stephen Phillips, John Water, Yeats, and so forth were from the people who composed wonderful plays. History and biographical plays. Another pattern apparent in the modern English show is towards involving history and accounts for sensational strategy. There are numerous wonderful, verifiable, and historical plays in the present day sensational writing. A recent fad in the modern English drama was presented by the Irish producers, who achieved the Celtic revival in the writing in the possession of the Irish playwrights like Yeats, James Sims, D.S. Murray, and so forth. Show failed to be sensible in character and turned into outflow of the expectation and the goals of the Irish nation from far off their approaches to their own time. There is a restoration of comedy of manners in present day emotional writing. Oscar Wilde, Magnum, Defeatist have done a lot, resuscitated the parody of mind in our days. Impressionism, a development shows the impact of the things and occasion of brain of craftsman and the endeavor of the craftsman to communicate his demeanor. In the Impressionist plays of W.B. Yeats, the principal exertion is toward reproducing the experience of the craftsman and his impression about reality as opposed to introducing reality for what it's worth. Expressionism, a development attempts to communicate the sentiments and the feelings of individual as opposed to items and occasions. Expressionism is one more significant element of current show. It denotes an outrageous response against naturalism. Modern drama writers and their works. George Bernard Shaw. The greatest among the modern dramatists was George Bernard Shaw. He was born and brought in Ireland, but at the age of 20 in 1896, he left Ireland for good and went to London to make his fortune. At first, he tried his hand at the novel, but he did not get any encouragement. He was also a voracious reader and came under the influence of Samuel Butler, whom he described as the greatest writer of the later half of the 19th century. Two other writers who provoked the critical mind of Shah during his formative period were Ibsen and a Norwegian dramatist and Friedrich Nietzsche, a German philosopher. From Nietzsche, Shah took his admiration for the intellectually strong, the aristocrats of human species, the supermen who know their own minds, pursue their own purpose, win the battle of life, and they extract from it what is worth having. Ibsen, who doctrine be thyself, which was very much like Nietzsche's theory of Superman, who says, A to life, gave a dramatic presentation of it by picturing in his place the life of middle class people with relentless realism. All the plays of Shaw deal with some problem concerning modern society. In Mrs. Warren's proposition, Shaw showed that for the evils of prostitution in the society and not the procrease was the blame. In Widow's House, he again put the blame on society and not on the individual landlord for creating abuses of the right to the property. In Man and Superman, Shaw dealt with his favorite theme, that is the life force, which compels woman to hunt out man, capture and marry him for the continuation of the race. In Getting Married, he showed the unnaturalness of the home life at present constituted. In The Doctor's Dilemma, he exposed the superstition that doctors are infallible. In John Paul's Other Islands, the hero talks exactly like Shah, and the Englishman represents the worst traits in English character. Caesar and Cleopatra has no particular theme, and that is why it becomes nearer to being a play than most of the Shah's work. In the apple cart, Shah ridiculed the working of democratic form of government and intended that it needed a superman to set things right. Another dramatist who took an important part in the real drama in the latter part of the 19th century was Oscar Wilde. It was only during the last 5 years of his life that he turned his attention to writing for the stage. John Galsworthy. Galsworthy was a great dramatist of modern time, who, besides being a novelist of the first rank, made his mark also in the field of drama. He believed in the naturalist technique both in the novel and drama. According to him, naturalistic art is like a steady lamp held up from time to time, in whose light things will be seen for a space clearly in due proportion, freed from the mist of the prejudice and the partisanship. Harley Granville Walker. Granville Walker belonged to the group of dramatists like Galsworthy who dealt with the domestic tragedy and the problem faced. Though he wrote a number of plays of different sort in collaboration with other playwrights, he occupied his place in modern drama mainly as a writer of four realistic plays: The Marrying of Anne Lete, The Voice the Inheritance, Waste, and The Madras House. John Masefield, another dramatist belonging to the same school as Galsworthy and Granville Barker, is Masefield. He fascinates enthusiasm and cold logic, fantasy, and realism. Though he clings to the natural world and is a confirmed realist, he is wrapped into the spirit of mysticism. All these conflicting qualities are seen in his greatest play, The Tragedy of None, which is the best modern example of form of domestic tragedy. J.M. Barrie. J.M. Barrie did not belong to any school of dramatics. The best of his work marked by imaginative fantasy, humor, and a tender pathos. His most characteristic and original play is The Admirable Crichton, a drawing room comedy in which the family builder is the hero. As a Barrie, he did not find himself at peace with himself and the society. He was fond of capturing and treasuring a children's dream what life ought to be. This is exactly what we find in this play. The Irish Dramatic Revival. One of the important dramatic movements of modern time was the Irish Dramatic Revival. This was the reaction against the new realistic drama of Shaw and Wilde. The protagonists of this new movement, Lady Gregory, W.P. Hughes, and James Sin, were all the Irish dramatists who wanted to introduce flavor, richness, and poetry into drama. In the 20th century, there has been revival of the poetic drama, and some of the great poets, as Yeats and L.A., have written poetic plays. This was a reaction against the prose plays of Shaw and others, which showed a certain loss of emotional touch with the more issues of the age. Historical and imaginative plays. The latest movement in drama in England is the rapid development of the historical play. The exploitation of historical themes is the result of the deliberate endeavor to escape from the dramas of naturalism and to bring back something of the poetic expression to the theatre. The close association between the poetic school and the historical school is well exemplified by John Drinkwater and Clifford Max. A dance house was particularly revolutionary because it broke from traditional theatrical form at a time when both American and European audiences were desperate for something new. Throughout the previous century, the theatre had reached a low point in the Western world. Fiction and the poetry, on the other hand, flourished. Between the mid 1700s and the 1800s, literature soared to the new height, thanks to landmark work by novelists like Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, and Nathaniel Hawthorne. Meanwhile, the field of poetry was awash, with new talents like Lord Byron, Percy Shelley, John Keats, and the at the time unpublished Emily Dickinson. Yet, for the most part, the world of the theatre was very still.